Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, July 5, 2026. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak month of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here at Weather Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 7:13 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:13 p.m. Jamaica time. As you can see, tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, and this is the reason why. Across the Atlantic, nothing trying to develop at this time. Just a few tropical waves here and there, a decent looking tropical wave right there to the southwest of Jamaica, affecting sections of Central America, but nothing trying to acquire the next name on the list, which is Bertha right now. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we actually have a tropical wave affecting Jamaica right now. I think a lot of the moisture, is displaced, if not, just didn't really, bring much of anything to the island today for sure. We can also see we have a ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of these tropical waves from east to west, from the main development region to the Caribbean. There are actually 3 tropical waves right here across the main development region right now, intertwined with the red line that's associated with the intertropical convergence zone. That's the ITCZ that extends from northeastern South America all the way over into the west coast of Africa. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, let's see. First of all, we can make out the tropical wave. Well, is it really? I think most of the moisture are, I don't know, maybe it's another entity, maybe a trough affecting sections of Honduras into Nicaragua, but apparently there's some kind of tropical wave across the island right now. Most of the moisture we can see pushing from east west to the south of us. There are supposedly 3 tropical waves right in here. As you can see, most of the moisture associated with the tropical waves are squashed to the south, intertwined with the intertropical convergence zone. And you can see all of the clouds that have to do with the intertropical convergence zone extending from northeastern South America all the way over into the west coast of Africa. We can also make out the low to mid-level flow of the clouds being steered from east-west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus your attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Sunday, July 5, 2026. It was stated that rain could have been the forecast of parts of eastern Jamaica on Sunday morning, in the early morning hours at that, then affecting especially sections of some northern and western parishes during Sunday afternoon. I know that eastern parishes in Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston and St. Andrew. And then when we're talking about northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While western parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around, well, I think it was after midnight last night for sure, I definitely got some amount of light rainfall across my part of eastern Jamaica in St. Thomas here. So I definitely made a post around those hours, the 12 to the 1 a.m. There we go, 12:36 a.m. to be exact. The post was made there, and it highlighted some clouds that will bring some amount of rainfall, some isolated showers at that to sections of far eastern Jamaica. And we can see that we definitely had some thunderstorms to the northeast of us. I'm sure they had quite the light show, the people of Portland, last night when looking towards the northeast. And then the Jamaican Doppler radar imagery was posted as well. It was showing that we were definitely getting on some amount of rainfall across sections of St. Thomas. We see the greens into the yellows represents that light moderate team, some slightly heavy rainfall. I definitely got on some of the rainfall last night. Definitely made me sleep like a baby. And then at around 7:01 a.m. the visible close-up satellite image was posted. I highlighted the same. We were still getting on some amount of overcast skies, if not some isolated showers affecting sections of eastern Jamaica, sections of eastern Portland, sections of St. Thomas. We might have also had some of these clouds pushing into southern Clarendon, bringing some isolated showers. Then finally at around the 1:05 p.m. time frame, the visible satellite imagery was posted once again, and it actually showed the isolated thunder shower activity that was taking place not only across the north and the west, but even across sections of some central parishes like northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, sections of Manchester into St. Elizabeth. But the brunt of the thunderstorm activity at that time was situated across sections of Hanover into Westmoreland, some of the activity into sections of Trelawney and St. James as well. And we can see what really took place even better on the visible close-up satellite images of Jamaica right here. Look at the clouds building across central to western Jamaica, cloud toss being sheared out towards the northeast by that upper level wind shear. And also see some decent thunderstorm to our west, some high cloud tops to our south. And if we take a look at the infrared close-up satellite imagery, that shows the actual cumulonimbus cloud cover, all of the blues into the greens into the yellows, oranges and reds. That represents that cumulonimbus activity, especially across sections of Hanover into Westmoreland, sections of St. Elizabeth, central to northern St. Elizabeth, definitely got on the thunderstorm activity. All of where you see the sparkling white dust that represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And we can also see some of that activity across sections of southern St. James into southwestern Trelawney, sections of Clarendon definitely got on some of the action today before all of those cloud tops died down. And then as you can see, some thunderstorms are off to our west, and the upper level wind shear blowing those cloud tops off to the east. And we see some of these cloud tops being pushed across sections of Westmoreland into St. Elizabeth and Manchester. So I'm sure that they're not going to be seeing much in the way of stars at all over there. And as you can see, we have some high cirrus clouds to the far south of us, definitely associated with what has been affecting sections of Honduras into Nicaragua. Those cloud tops are being sheared up towards the east, as you can see, still bringing some out of overcast skies, sections of Hispaniola, sections of Puerto Rico into the eastern Caribbean as we speak. Alright, so right, moving on to the Jamaican Doppler radar imagery. Let's see what was really taking place underneath these clouds. We see the greens into the yellows into the oranges, and the reds represents that light moderate team, some heavy rainfall across northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern Manchester into central to northern St. Elizabeth. Sections of Hanover into Westmoreland definitely gotten on some of the light moderate team, some heavy rainfall as well. Let's backtrack it. There we go. Definitely gotten on some of the rainfall out west too. So sections of especially central and western Jamaica gotten on today's rainfall. And if we take a look, the live camera from C Jamaica's YouTube channel was showing what was taking place in the Barbican St. Andre area today. As you can see, at 11:12 a.m. definitely cloudy, nothing to have real bad weather at the time, definitely dry for sure. People driving about and walking about, going about their business. And if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit C Jamaica on YouTube. We have these live streams all for you to view for free, so subscribe today to this channel so that you don't miss out. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint quite the picture of how we had that rainfall today, especially across some eastern, central and western parishes for sure. And we definitely have a few comments that came in from some of our followers about what the weather is like in their area today. On our Facebook page, we have Nike Bent posting hot and windy in Clarendon. This was posted 1 hour ago. Marcia Thompson posting 5 hours ago, raining where I am in Manchester. Sylvia Bando posting 5 hours ago, overcast skies but hot. We have Marissa Sykes posting 5 hours ago, why is it that Kingston gets no rain but it is always eventually raining out in the Westmoreland area every day? Trust me, it has a lot to do with the winds that we get across the island. I've spoken about this countless times. In Jamaica we get easterly winds. If there's not a tropical wave or a trough to bring us rainfall from off of the sea into eastern Jamaica, More than likely, all of the air from the winds are going to be piling up, especially across the central to the western parishes. Wherever we have the least amount of winds, that's usually where we have all of that air piling up. Then we have those low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds, to bring us that daytime heating rainfall out west. Sometimes these things happen across Kingston when we're getting more of a northeasterly or east-northeasterly flow. It all depends on the weather patterns. Okay, so Tuesday, look at that. Tuesday, it looks like air could be piling up across northern and western parishes. Wednesday, basically the same thing. Thursday, basically the same thing. Even more windy as we head into the latter part of the week. And usually when we have more winds, unfortunately, the stronger the winds, the harder for it to, harder for us to get that daytime heating rainfall for sure. So I hope that actually explains it. Oh, Marcia is even watching. We have Marcia Freeman posting a few drops here. Christiana Manchester. We have a Javon Gale posting sun hot like hell in Orange Park, breeze ton up though. We have Verona Burke posting same in Ocho Rios. We have Prophet Stadion posting heat hot in Portmore. Millicent Miller posting 3 hours ago hot and windy in Clarendon. We also had some comments that came in here on our Instagram platform. Aroma 2 Lovable posting 9 hours ago. Kingston dry as chip but instead hot as fire. We have a J_drip 5 posting 10 hours ago. Not a drop of rain in Kingston. We have Old_Letter_Sweets posting 5 hours ago. Hot over here in Clarendon. Javon Panton posting 5 hours ago. Spanish Town sunny. We also had at least one comment that came in here on our TikTok platform. Cooley JJ4 posting 10 hours ago. It's cloudy in St. Mary. And finally, a comment here from Active4810 on our YouTube community platform. Posting 3 hours ago, Clarendon cloudy. Thank you all for confirming what the weather is like in your ear for today. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image here from the Weather Nerds website and the very latest Jamaican Doppler radar imagery. We want to see exactly what's taking place across the island right now. Alright, would you look at that? We're actually getting on some thunderstorm activity out west, and keep in mind that this is valid for 0005 UTC, so this is valid for 7:05 p.m. So this just came out 15 minutes ago, considering that it is 7:20 p.m. right now. And as you can see, we were getting on some cloud cover from some thunderstorms out west, pushing into western Jamaica, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth into Manchester. But now we're actually getting on some thunderstorm activity across far western Hanover as we speak. Whenever you see the sparkling white dots, we're getting lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, and usually directly below where we have the lightning, that's where we're getting on some rainfall. So we're going to be confirming right now with the latest Jamaican Doppler radar imagery. Is it showing? No, it's not. It's showing 23:29 UTC, so it's actually showing 6:29 p.m. We see a speck of green across Westmoreland, but that's basically it. Not really seeing much of anything across western Hanover. Let me see if I load up the Cayman radar, if it will actually show that rainfall out west. Let's see. This is the latest Cayman Doppler radar imagery. Are we actually going to see the rainfall right here? Yes, we are. There it is. Can you see it? The greens into the blues right there at the end of the frame. We're actually definitely getting on some rainfall. Gonna be pausing it right at that point right there. So that's good enough. And there we have it. The latest Cayman Doppler radar images actually confirming the rainfall that's affecting western Hanover. Right here, the greens into the yellows. And it's definitely in line with what we're seeing underneath these clouds right now. There we go, and it's actually showing the right time too, 0008 UTC, and as stated, the infrared was showing 0005. 0005 is actually 7:05 p.m. and as you can see, 0008 is 7:08 p.m. so it's actually in line with the latest time. So we're actually getting rainfall across far western Jamaica as we speak. And if we take a look, the live camera here from C Jamaica's YouTube channel, not really showing much of anything in the Ocho Rios, St. Anne area. Makes sense because we're not seeing anything in the way of cloud cover across Ocho Rios right now. So that's the reason why we have dry conditions, people driving about and walking about, going about their business. Nothing to affect them from doing so. And if we take a look at the temperatures right now, What are the temperatures right now? The temperatures right now are 28 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Monday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, the day map from the GFS is valid for 15Z on Monday, which is actually 10 a.m. on Monday. And we see Jamaica right here painted in the grays. You know, the grays represents 0 on the key on the right. We know that's representing average temperatures. I know that the average temperatures for the month of July across Jamaica is around 91 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted from Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, that's around 32.78 degrees Celsius. So that should be Jamaica's temperature forecast for Monday. And if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, we have some tips to beat the heat as usual. It stays here: dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day, and I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugary drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air and relative humidity map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the right. That's the light shades of brown into the darker shades of brown into the darkest shade of brown. The humid air is represented by the light shades of greens into the darker shades of greens into the darkest shade of green. And as you can see across the island, we should be painted in some light shades of greens tomorrow. So the atmosphere could feel humid, and you know, it could feel sticky. Definitely going to be easy for us to sweat. And unfortunately, we have some Saharan dust to worry about as well. We're looking at what's expected on July 6, July 7, and July 8. And yes, we have some Saharan dust expected to push through our area tomorrow, unfortunately. And you know, the Saharan dust is represented by the greens, yellows, oranges, and the pinks. And you know, that's definitely gonna mean hazy skies in our future, not to mention triggering some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. Maybe a slight break on July 7, then back at it again on July 8, and then by the end of the day out of here. It's all fluctuating here, then not here, then here again over the next 3 days. Then we get a break again after July 8, and then looks like another plume might be getting ready to push into the Caribbean by around that time. My God, the Saharan dust doesn't give up at all. But clearly, tomorrow, July 6th, as a matter of fact, I'm sure it has already started today. It's definitely going to be even more vigorous on Monday for sure. And if we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow across the Caribbean, we're seeing the blues into the purples and the pinks. It represents anywhere from a meter up to a 2.5 meter wave height, especially to the south of Jamaica, and that's because of the easterly winds that are expected, averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 knots, especially up to 25 knots wherever we have the yellows to the south of Jamaica. And if we zoom in on Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow, to the north of Portland, 1.2 meter wave height expected, to the south of St. Thomas, 1.9, to the south of Clarendon, same thing, to the north of St. Anne, 1 meter wave height, to the north of Hanover, 0.9 of a meter wave height, to the south of Westmoreland, 1.1 meter wave height, to the north of Portland, 12 knot winds from the east, to the south of St. Thomas, 16 knot winds from the east, to the north of St. Anne, 14 knot winds from the east, to the south of Clarendon, 17 knot winds from the east, to the north of Hanover, 13 knot winds from the east. And we see where that air is expected to pile up. Wherever we see that air piling up, wherever we have the least amount of wind, wherever we have the blues, that's where we're going to be having some of these low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds, to bring us that daytime heating rainfall. Upper-level winds for tomorrow expected to come in from the northwest tomorrow. So unlike today, where when we actually had the convection across the island, those cloud tops were being sheared off towards the northeast. Now being sheared off towards the east, tomorrow is going to be sheared off towards the southeast. Definitely bring more overcast skies to sections of some southern parishes. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS, they are both valid for 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 10 a.m. Jamaica time. And we see the blues represent rainfall maybe across far eastern Jamaica, St. Thomas, Portland, on both the Euro and the GFS small. So look out for that morning rainfall. It's possible, but it's hard to believe. In a way, I mean, we have humidity here, but we have Saharan dust at the same time, so we have competing weather phenomena in general. But the models are in agreement that there could be some amount of rainfall across eastern Jamaica on Monday morning. And then by afternoon, We're talking about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. Euro model showing rainfall across eastern, central, and western Jamaica. GFS showing rainfall mainly across the northwest, maybe Trelawny into St. James, Hanover into Westmoreland. You know, we're definitely going to be working with what the GFS shows. It's usually more accurate when it comes to this afternoon rainfall. And we see that there's, you know, afternoon rainfall expected for the very areas over here too, but not necessarily the central to the eastern portion of the island. I mean, a GFS definitely making more sense for sure, as it usually does. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Monday. And we can clearly see that there should be at least the greens into the yellows, maybe up to 0.25 or some inch of rainfall. GFS going up to maybe 0.3 of an inch of rainfall. We know that it could be more than that, it could be less than that. We'll say it actually plays out over the next over the next 24 hours. Whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Alright, so what's happening here are, not ready yet to look at that. But, you know, when it comes to the precipitation trends in Jamaica, in Hanover, we usually receive for the month of July 123 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's about the same as 4.9 inches of rainfall. While in Westmoreland, we usually receive 108 millimeters of rainfall in July. That's about the same as 4.2 inches of rainfall. And if you would like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of July or for the entire year, you can visit nomadseason.com, and that website to show that information. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next 168 hours. That stands for the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represents millimeters of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so we're looking at 12Z on Tuesday because that represents 7 a.m. and as you can see, we're seeing some moisture to the south of Jamaica, some of that moisture across far eastern Jamaica as well. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we're seeing that rainfall across the eastern, central, and western Jamaica. What do we see on the GFS? Tuesday morning, rainfall across the far eastern end. Tuesday afternoon, rainfall across the northwest. What do we see on a Wednesday morning? On Wednesday morning, we're seeing some rainfall to our north. On Wednesday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across some eastern, northern, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Wednesday morning, rainfall across the northeast. Wednesday afternoon, what do we see? Some rainfall across some eastern and northwestern parishes. What do we see on a Thursday morning? Thursday morning, we're seeing some rainfall across far eastern Jamaica. On Thursday afternoon, we're seeing some rainfall across eastern, central, and western Jamaica. What do we see on the GFS? Thursday morning, rainfall across the far eastern end. Thursday afternoon, rainfall across the eastern and northwestern end. And we're about to stop it right here. Friday, well, not stop it, but we're continuing on Friday. 12th on Friday, that's 7 a.m. We're seeing some rainfall across far eastern Jamaica. And then Friday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Friday morning, rainfall across the far east. Friday afternoon, rainfall across the eastern, northern, and western parishes. And if we take a look at what's expected on Saturday now. On Saturday, we're seeing rainfall across southeastern Jamaica. On Saturday afternoon, not really seeing much of anything. What do we see on the GFS? Do we see anything? No, we don't. On the GFS, Saturday morning, nothing. Saturday afternoon, nothing again. Looks like Saturday next week is gonna be dry, and we're gonna be stopping right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Sunday, July 12th, and I guess we're starting to see what the CPC was talking about. I mean, this is 7 a.m. on Sunday, July 12th. Not seeing much of anything on the Euro. And the GFS, well, the GFS is actually showing a speck of green across far eastern Jamaica. But clearly a drier pattern is coming, and that is definitely in line with the CPC's latest forecast. Did you see it? Well, it stated that for the time period from July 8th to July 14th, we're going to be receiving browns across the Caribbean. You know, the browns, especially the darkest shade of brown, represents below average rainfall probability. So unfortunately, I guess that's what we're seeing. I mean, the models are definitely in line with that, making a lot of sense for sure. So yeah, and it's even extending for July 15 to July 21, unfortunately. So Get ready for, heat, drought-like conditions for sure. But out west usually gets their daytime heating rainfall regardless. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Sunday, July 12th. And we can clearly see that the most rainfall of the next 7 days across the Western Atlantic should be wherever we have the dark reds into the purples and the pinks. That represents anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of rainfall, as we're seeing here on the key on the right. You also see some of those rainfall totals across sections of Florida into Cuba, sections of the Dominican Republic as well, even sections of the Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada. And we see that it's not only the GFS model that's showing it here, but the Euro model is showing something similar in a way. I know that when they're in agreement like this, chances are higher for it to actually take place. And if we take a look at Jamaica's close-up of the 7-day totals, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Sunday, July 12th. And we can clearly see that the most rainfall of the next 7 days should be across far eastern Jamaica that we're seeing painted in the greens, yellows and the oranges. That represents up to a total of 70 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS going up to at least 80 millimeters of rainfall. Clearly there's a trend. Eastern Jamaica, St. Thomas, Portland definitely going to be getting on the most rainfall of the next 7 days. We'll see it plays out, and whatever happens we just have to take it. And if we take a look at the rest of the Caribbean, not really much of anything. A lot of wind shear, a lot of cloud tops streaking off from southwest to northeast. Nothing trying to develop. So we have some low to mid-level clouds pushing through from east to west though. Nothing trying to organize at this time. This is definitely an El Nino year for sure. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images, what's happening near Puerto Rico? Nothing. What's happening in and around the Leeward Islands? Not really much of anything. If we take a look at the Windward Islands Doppler radar imagery, all courtesy of the Barbados weather.org site, we can actually see some moisture, some light to moderate, even some slightly heavy rainfall pushing through from east west to the north of Barbados towards the direction of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Also see some rainfall pushing through Trinidad and Tobago right here. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across sections of Florida, central to western Florida, sections of eastern, central and western Cuba, sections of the Yucatan to northern Guatemala, sections of Belize into sections of Honduras, sections of eastern Nicaragua for sure, just like what we saw on the satellite imagery. We can also see some amount of rainfall across sections of Guyana, sections of inland areas of Suriname. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected over the next 24 hours. You can clearly see wherever we have the reds into the oranges, yellows and the greens represents anywhere from an inch of rainfall or less. So sections of Florida into the northern Bahamas, sections of Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, sections of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Colombia, Panama into Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, sections of the Yucatan Peninsula, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands getting into some of the action. We can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so what's happening here across the eastern Pacific? Tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days. If you remember yesterday, we had a code yellow somewhere here to the far east of Hawaii, to the far west of Mexico. Something that had a low chance of development within the next 7 days, but as you can see, definitely lost that chance for sure. Even though we have a lot of deep convection down here in the intertropical convergence zone, apparently nothing is going to try to attempt to become the next name on the list, which is Elida at all. And if we take a look at what's happening on the Joint Typhoon Warning Centers page, no suspect areas across the Indian Ocean. We can also see that tropical storm Mesak has died down. It has pushed inland into mainland China. So all that's left now is Super Typhoon Bavi, and unfortunately the system has just made its closest pass to this island right here. And I had to pull up some Google Maps because we need to know our geography. They're right here. For reference, we have Jamaica way over here, United States, China, Japan, and we have the Guam area right here, the Mariana Islands in general. So it basically just did a thing like this. So let's say the pink thing right here represents the eye of the hurricane, Super Typhoon Bavi, and it just did a thing like this. So the northern portions of this island right here that they call Rota northern portion of this system. Well, the northern portion of this island definitely got, in on the eye of the system, the eye itself. So it might have experienced some brief calm conditions for a little time, and then it went back into the crazy wind and rainfall immediately after, unfortunately. My God, these systems are bad in general, and remember it was a high-end hurricane, a super typhoon. Let's see, what is it packing now? It's packing 155 knot winds. We know that systems that pack anything greater than 137 knot winds, they're classified as category 5 hurricanes, unfortunately. As you can see, and it's expected to maintain that category 5 status for the longest while. Look at that. 155, 145, 150, 150, 145, 140, 135. So maybe back to category 4 status somewhere down the line when it's making its closest pass to Taiwan, if not China. And we definitely have to stay updated to see exactly what it does, because that we have a lot of friends, relatives who live or work in this part of the world, whether it's the Philippines, Taiwan, China, Japan, or Korea. We definitely have to stay updated to see exactly what happens. And whatever footage comes out of the Mariana Islands, I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.